Welcome back to the UKLC. We just saw a very convincing game from Barrage to again cement them as the second place team in our league so far. And we've got one game left of the day. It's going to be Phelan taking on Enclave. And Enclave had some changes to their roster coming into this game.
Yeah, so we saw them make a switch to have Isaac in the jungle. They've now switched Air out for Eternity in the mid lane. And I have an interesting fact for you. So
yes, hit me.
I got a chance to speak to him. Ask him, does he prefer dogs or cats? And his answer was dogs, particularly huskies. He's a big fan of.
Great.
There you go.
Thank you. I mean, that's literally everything that I wanted to know about this new addition to the mid lane. For those of you who don't know, he's also known as Korean Mid Import. You might know him by that name sometimes. He's got a bit of competitive history behind him.
Has a decent amount. So he's a German player, has played in the Prime League. Well, not in the Prime main league, but in the other divisions.
Meisterschaft and stuff. Yeah.
Played as a sub for Unicorns of Love Sexy Edition. Played for AEQ esports a few times. So he has got competitive experience, and that's a difference maker between him and Air. I feel like Air was less experienced, and that was sometimes an issue, particularly in terms of champion pools. So I think this now gives an opportunity because we have Only Angel in the top lane, who's plenty experienced. Bot lane has a decent amount with the Heathen and Dirking. And then it's this mid-jungle duo who've been introduced. Isaac obviously was absolutely monstrous in his debut back into Enclave. And hopefully Eternity can give the momentum they need. Because if you're going to win a game for Enclave, other than Demise,
Phelan's
I think this is probably your best shot. Because Phelan have definitely been looking better, but they're similar to you in standings. For sure, it's not going to be the top three. No one's winning against them other than each other right now.
I think Enclave basically are out of the running for playoffs, though, at 0 and 8.
Sure,
there was an incredibly slim chance. I mean, I don't even know if it's possible.
No, it's not possible.
It's not possible. Okay, well, Enclave are just out, so they might as well make these changes now.
At this point, I think they just want to get a win.
Yeah, they don't want to end up the game, the split at 0 and 12. They really don't want that.
0 and 14.
0 and 14 can't count.
Yeah, so there's 6 more games, so they could get 6 wins, but I even then, I think other teams picking up wins will push them ahead. Essentially, right now it's playing upset for other teams, but just getting a win on the board is a huge thing.
Just realised that this week counts as 2 games. I was counting like this week was over and calculating 4.
Oh well.
Let's have a look at the draft phase. It is going to be Zoe, Jarvan, and Mordekaiser banned away. Only Angel is a pretty solid Mordekaiser player, so sometimes I like take that away. We'll see what's left open as Phelan have a set first pick. It's something that we just saw Envision do. They couldn't quite make it work for Shikari, even though he had a good early laning phase, but Phelan will replicate, and that'll go for Bear Tree. Yeah,
and we saw a really good game from Bear Tree last game. Yeah, he was pretty monstrous on Aatrox in the early stages, getting a big CS lead, but ultimately was not enough to bring them the victory. Hopefully this is the opportunity to bounce back. Now, typically, I would expect the matchup for Only Angel to be the Aatrox. He's played that a lot heavily, and it's a standard thing we see into the set. We just saw that same matchup last game.
Yeah.
And it looks like he's just going to pick it now. So no massive surprises here. Now, the question is going to be, what else will they prioritize? In terms of AD carries, Misfortune, Aphelios still available. A lot of teams lean towards Aphelios with how strong he is in terms of scaling, but Misfortune can be a popular option in terms of the lane pressure that it allows. So we'll see what Enclave want. I feel like the other pick they could potentially have leaned towards would have been the jungle for Isaac, but they want to leave that a bit later, try and ensure a good matchup. And the big thing with this third pick on red side is you can potentially counter anything they take, or you can pick something and then ban away the counters.
Yeah, exactly. So let's have a look at what Phelan decide. They could pick their bot lane, they could pick their jungle and their support, their jungle and their AD carry. I think with the limited number of AD carries kind of left up and available that are top tier, picking your AD carry on first rotation is always advisable. So we'll see. Misfortune is the one that most people like to go into Aphelios, and we've seen that again. We saw that in the Fnatic game. Xmati absolutely dumpstered pretty much the entire roster with the Misfortune alone.
And I don't think I really want to see support as a pick here, because I feel like countering is more important. If you pick something like Leona, they're just going to take Braum. So potentially taking a jungler here to secure something for Sawyer.
It's going to be the Thresh.
It's going to go for the Thresh. So a strong one because it denies any enchanters. If you take something like the Lulu, Thresh will punish it. And then on the other side of the coin, also has decent matchups into things like Nautilus, into Braum as well. So it does mean that it's a sort of general good pick for Phelan, but it doesn't offer them as much flexibility as if they left their support later.
Well, we're waiting to see what Enclave decide. Nautilus is the one that they are thinking about. They will lock that in. The Nautilus Aphelios lane is going to be locked in for Enclave, so going down towards the Misfortune Thresh matchup.
So heavy trade so far in terms of picks. I feel like I don't think either side has massively come out ahead. You know, these are sort of two top laners you see go head-to-head, two supports you see go head-to-head, two early carries. I do feel like the early pressure is a bit more favored towards Phelan with the Misfortune Thresh. Even the set as well. I feel like the Aatrox in teamfights later on is just so powerful.
Going to ban the Zac away, so it looks like jungle being focused here for Enclave. They're going to have the first pick coming out of this ban phase.
Yeah, I like the Zac ban because it's something that can jump onto Aphelios, and they don't really have any great way of stopping it right now. Nautilus is, you have to be really on point to stop a Zac dashing through the air, because if there's anything in the way like minions or enemies, your hook just won't connect. You could also see the Karthus ban coming through potentially because Phelan are in a position where they could pick a high priority mid laner. But for now, we see the Olaf banned away. And for the side of Phelan, they've banned away the LeBlanc from Eternity, just going for those strong blind mid laners. Zoe was already taken off in the first rotation.
And Syndra also gone. So.
Yeah, so a lot of things taken out of the equation right now.
Let's see where Phelan decide to go with the next ban here. Again, could be mid, could be jungle. Thinking about what your first pick from Enclave is going to be. You
could even throw a Lee Sin ban towards Isaac if you really wanted, although Gragas is still available as a potential counter. Instead they'll go for Echo, which is something you can flex between mid-jungle. So the reason for that might be that they're concerned about if they pick an Echo here, Phelan don't know where it's going, and it can be difficult to sort of pick against that. I'm going to see the Elise come out from Isaac, so we have something set in stone. We know exactly where that pick is going. It does mean that Dragain has to blind mid, and they are giving Eternity on his debut in the roster counter pick for mid lane.
I mean, Eternity comes in as a very strong mid laner for this roster, so you know he has the potential now to show up and show that maybe he should be included in long-term Enclave plans or even long-term sort of European Regional League plans, because obviously scouts will be looking at all the games going on. When a new piece of talent comes onto the roster, then it's always a good shout. It's going to be the Ziggs locked in, we can assume, for Dragain here.
I'm a big fan of the Ziggs. I'm a big fan of the Ziggs in terms of the scaling it offers to a composition. There's a lot of AoE damage already thrown down by Phelan. It'll be interesting to see what jungler they end up bringing out for Soya. You want something that can potentially match the pressure for Elise and not get punished too hard. I feel like Gragas would have been the one I would go for. Although the issue with Gragas is that it kind of has an anti-synergy with both Ziggs and Misfortune, in that when you ult them, you're going to knock them out of it potentially. So I understand the reasoning for going for the Sejuani, but in terms of early pressure, you're going to struggle against the Elise. You can definitely look to threaten you with a long cooldown on your Q, your Arctic Assault to get away. It's your dash. That can make it a little bit sort of delicate. So it gives Isaac some early pressure, and then for Eternity, he's going to go for the Cassiopeia. So this is actually a favorable matchup for the Ziggs. This is something that I remember when we first saw Bjergsen go up against Faker. I believe it was at Worlds in the group stage. He picked Ziggs into Faker's Cassiopeia, and he just outranges him. You can just consistently... They lost that game because it's NA. But you outrange them, so you can consistently throw these bombs. Your shove's better. You have more... you don't have as high mana cost in the early levels as the Cassiopeia does, so it is actually pretty difficult for the Cassiopeia, but the intention is it adds a scaling element to the composition of Enclave.
Yeah, absolutely. They do have the scaling of the Aphelios as well, but they have... So they've got a step ladder. They've got the sort of the mediated early game of... mid game of the Aatrox and the Elise. Then you have the late game follow-up of the Cassiopeia and the Aatrox. Having a look at the other side of the coin, quite a lot of late game for Phelan as well. You've got the Misfortune, who does well both mid and late, and obviously Ziggs, who becomes online. The more items he gets, he scales incredibly well. Just ask Dan. Tell me about these compositions. Let's start off with Enclave. What are they aiming to do?
So, I mean, both of these compositions are very much front to back. Now, what I will say is that Enclave, they have the sort of weakness of not having as much front line because they're lacking a tank jungler, but that does mean they have more early pressure in the Elise. So I think what I'd like to see is Isaac play around that, look to apply pressure, because if this composition does get ahead, when you have scaling elements on both sides, a gold lead can be the tipping factor. And I think when it comes to team fights, both of these are going to look to try and team fight in similar ways, and that's trying to find the enemy backline and punish them is the big critical thing. It's going to be more sort of around the ultimates of Phelan, because they have the bullet time, they have the Mega Inferno Bomb, whereas the sustained damage from Enclave is going to be much higher. So if they can avoid those powerful ultimates, then Enclave will be in a good position.
Well, we'll see. I think both. I can't really flip a coin between the two of them. I do think this is a chance for Enclave with a new mid lane to show that they aren't going to be the 0-16 team. But Phelan, they are still within a shot of playoffs. So this is a game that they do really want to get a win. This is one of the teams that they should claim a win versus.
And I think Phelan's looks pretty good. They've been looking better and better as the weeks have gone on. Now, is that sort of enough for them to challenge the other upper teams? No, but I think on paper, based on what we've seen, they're looking better than Enclave. But with Enclave, we have Wiser coming in, who had a great debut in his first game. We have Eternity making his debut, so we're going to see what he's made of. These could be the tipping factors in this matchup, because I feel like if one team gets a massive lead, it might get difficult to sort of bring that back round. What
I will say, though, and one of the criticisms that I've heard you talk about of Phelan a lot, is that Raisins does not have that roam presence that a lot of other supports that are really, really good in our league have.
So it's something I saw them improve on, and it's something that has come and gone. I would like to see it here. And it's not so just much Raisins just roaming, but it's Raisins and Sawyer working together in tandem. So what I love to see from teams is when their jungler and their support move together. It's something that last game actually cost Envision, because there was a play in the mid lane, and you could see that Hado moved there with his jungler Sybil, but on the other side, it was just Nulty responding. And so when you move together as a unit, you can both roam to apply the pressure in the play, because there it is going to be 3 members if you gank mid lane, for example, instead of just 2. So that's the criticism I had for Phelan in the early stages of the split, was Sawyer and Raisins not pairing up as much. We did see more of that last week, so that's a good omen, but still looking to see them take the best fights for them and have good objective control and keep the consistency up. But this is the big test for them. Can they beat out Enclave? Because if they can't win this one, I don't think playoffs is really going to be in the conversation at all. I
completely agree with you. I almost feel like Enclave are dragging teams down with them if they get wins at this point in time, and Phelan is first on their list. Something that we saw in the Nordics this week was that sub-junglers can actually make a significant difference. You know, bringing in a new jungler can really revitalize and refresh a team. So it's up to Visek, who we have seen in the UK before. It's not his first debut in the UKLC. We saw him last split. Trying to remember who he played for. Was it Enclave as well?
It was Enclave again.
Yeah, so he played for Enclave previously. So Visek has got the experience on this team. He was comboed with Vorsi in the mid lane. However, he will be working with Eternity this time round. But a big refresh here, maybe enough for Enclave to start finding some wins.
And it was the aggression and the early pressure. And we saw him go up against Sybil in the game against Barrage, and he was the better jungler that game. And that's considering that it's Barrage, who are the second best team in the team, and Sybil has been playing brilliantly. This is not a criticism of Sybil, just Wiser had this insane Lee Sin game, but unfortunately the rest of the team kind of fell apart around him. Oh, great hook.
Good hook from Raisins. Pressure onto Heathen. That's a 2/3 HP chunk. That is not a start you're looking for when you're playing
disrespect. You know, the level 1 of Thresh Misfortune is a lot better than yours. You need to respect when they're going to hit level 2 sooner, and you need to back away. They didn't. They end up getting punished, and now look how confident this Sejuani is. This is a Sejuani against an Elise, and she can walk up, and the reason is she has bot lane priority, so she knows Thresh is already hovering in the river. Raisins has left lane. He's still actually there, but he's waiting in the brush, and that was enough to scare Wiseek away. Now, Eternity getting mid-priority has allowed Wiseek to push in and try and contest this, but he won't actually get anything here. But Lancer Cocoon.
Sawyer might just have to flash across the wall. He will be able to dive away. I think he might have used the Arctic Assault already, and Visek will pick up the kill. That was actually...
That was just badly played.
He badly played, but clever from Visek. The reason being is he saw when Sejuani was taunting him in the mid lane, no red buff. So he knew the immediate way for Sejuani to move from that position was to go back and claim her red buff.
But it was just like, Sawyer could dash over the wall. He didn't.
I think
he should have... No, he used it on Elise.
Oh, did he?
Because the Aftershock procced. So he could have dashed over the wall. He didn't. He got hit by the cocoon. He then Arctic Assaulted into Elise and then flashed over. It was just really badly played, in all honesty.
Oh, but look at Visek again, looking to come and pressure Sawyer more, as he actually saw him in that brush.
I think he was taking the long route around bot lane, potentially go for a gank bot. Because obviously he expected there may be wards in the river, but not as deep as a tri-brush. There is a ward there, so he would have been spotted out regardless, but it could have been too late. But ultimately, Sawyer being there wards him off. So Sawyer is still serving a purpose despite the fact misplaying that.
You can see actually Raisins and Jack Spectre being very cautious right now. The reason being is they don't have vision in the river, and they just saw Visek back that way. So a long route again for Visek could have meant that they end up getting ganked, but they don't. Will be spotted out, though, as you see Sawyer runs over a load of wards in the bot lane.
So Dragain actually managed to get a recall and TP back in. And this is a really nice buy for Ziggs, where you go the double Doran's Ring and the Fairy Charm. And it just gives you so much flat mana regen that you're able to spam your bombs pretty consistently. At this point, Dragain, he was zoned off a bit by Wiseek being there. He can just farm with his Q because he has that much mana regeneration available to him.
Pretty easy vertical jungle steal now for Visek. He saw Sawyer run over that, I believe it's the River Scuttler in the middle of the river, so therefore he just went straight. Are you looking at me because I'm pointing at with my pointer?
Yeah, it's really distracting.
Is it?
Yeah.
I won't use the pointer anymore. I've been obsessed with this thing. Have you seen it?
I don't know what it is. You and Jake both, you just play with that endlessly.
It's okay. Well, I've never seen it before, but it's a ruler that you can twist to make Z shapes. Let's go focus again, because Wisek misses the cocoon there onto Dragain, who dives away with the Hextech bomb. Dan's obviously not as easily as entertained as I am.
Well, it's both you and Jake. You just sit there and you play with this ruler and you just flip it about, and it's like,
why?
I'm working with children.
If you're a failed play-by-play like me, you'd understand. I was also a good pointer, though. You know, you can point at things on the screen with it. I
mean, not even because it's angled.
Anyway, the viewers have no idea what's going on as Raisins is looking for a hook here onto the bot lane. Heathens does do a nice little sidestep, backs out from that. And unfortunately, Sawyer can't find any route into that bot side.
No, it was an attempt, but unfortunately, Thresh unable to set that one up. Now, 6 minutes in the game, slight goal lead for Enclave, coming from that kill that went over to Wisek, but ultimately, not too much happened so far. But we're still pre-6 for the junglers, which is a critical point where Wisek is extremely strong. On this at least. Obviously, when 6 is hit, he doesn't just instantly fall off a cliff, but Sawyer getting his ultimate helps to bring the matchup to a bit more parity between the two. For now, Wisek is throwing down a control ward, and he is doing this Dragon, but he's very low on HP, actually, so he's going to call in some assistance. It resets because Dragon just does that sometimes, who really knows? And he will secure that one. And Bedfy actually flashing out that third Q, and that's one of the big things with the set, is once you're in a fight, you're in a fight. If he ults Only Angel, he just goes deeper. So misplaying that one a little bit, and Only Angel finding an advantage in the 1v1. And this is a bit of a difference from last game, where we saw Shikari winning out in the 1v1. And here we're seeing the Aatrox, which is sort of goes to the conversation of how it is a skill matchup.
Yeah, absolutely. And Only Angel is a very practiced Aatrox player as well, so he'll be very easily able. I mean, to be honest, most top laners worth their salt these days are practiced Aatrox players.
But especially this one.
But especially Only Angel, he's very, very good on that particular champion. Sawyer now chasing down, will smite away the River Scuttler there, so he doesn't give it over to Only Angel and will back into his...
I mean, look at his vision control. There's so much warding in his jungle already. They're just tracking this Sejuani, and it means that potentially Wisek can find some opportunities to go aggressive. Right now, he's just clearing up his blue buff. But we're getting close to that level 6 point for the junglers. And that's always my big talking point for Elise, is that pre-6, she's just so powerful. The fact that she already has access to her ultimate, the doubled abilities, and a lot of champions gain a bit of ground when they hit 6. Now, obviously, with a champion like Sejuani, she's still weaker in terms of her presence. Obviously, if you can use the ultimate and make effectiveness of that, great. But Elise is wanting to be making that impact. So now they have gone for the swap after taking the Dragon that we typically see. They've moved the Aphelios up to the top side. He then looks mid to apply some pressure here, but one of the big powers of Ziggs is that satchel, that safety away from engages. But they're now moving in to contest this top area. And they know Sawyer is here. They saw him walk over those wards. And they're looking to contest. And right now, Thresh has moved up. But that means Only Angel is 1v1 against Jack Spectre in the bot lane.
And they have made that swap, like he said, to really focus down that Rift Herald. Again, it's the very classic move.
So, Phelan can't contest this because they have no TP on Jack Spectre.
Yeah.
So if Enclave want to bring the top laner, they can. They'll have a numbers advantage. So they have to respect that. But for now, it looks like Enclave going to pick up some waves, get the priority in the top lane, get the red buff for Wisek, and then they can push in and establish control over the Herald. Although, Misfortune, her passive given the movement speed, she's ran all the way up to respond. So the correct play for Enclave here, as soon as they see that, would be to back away. Allow Only Angel to have some alone time bot lane, get a plate on the tower potentially, and just burn time for Phelan. They brought extra members up, and they're actually going to use the Mega Inferno Bomb to clear the wave out. But again, no one's catching any farm here. The Mega Inferno Bomb catches a bit, but Enclave just need to buy time.
Yeah, because the more time that you waste, the more time that Phelan lose plates and farm the bot lane, like you just said, Orcs. Now, I wonder if they're even going to try and go for this contest with the teleport. Maybe they end up giving this away. Wisek is starting to make his way forward.
Coming in.
Teleport is coming in. They might just try and burst this down. A really good hook from Raisins means that they can secure the Rift Herald, but the fight actually goes on. This could be disastrous for Phelan as Enclave start that fight with the front line of Only Angel. Just so difficult to burst through. Jack Spectre dives away. Only Angel waiting for those knockups to come back, but he's not in range, and Jack Spectre finally gets the turret. I think I genuinely think Phelan will take that. They take the Rift Herald and only lose one and burn the teleport of Only Angel.
Yeah, and honestly, Bear Tree, although he goes down, his Haymaker did so much damage to the backline of Enclave. I think it made them think twice about that whole situation. Ultimately, they burn a lot of farm in the bot lane. They ended up losing a plate as well, but they do get that Herald as a critical thing. Now, the big question is going to be what can they get off that? Because right now, they're losing farm mid, they're losing a plate. The goal difference is now 1,500. Enclave are in the advantage right now, but the Herald is the consolation prize, and it's can Phelan try and claw some of that back with it?
Well, they've got to try and use it in the best location possible in the next few minutes to pick up some plates at the very least, because they haven't yet taken a single plate. As Vicek goes for the big stun onto Raisins. Raisins will flash though, and the bullet time will actually zone away, and then they get the hook onto the Heathen, who's forced to have that heal blown to keep him safe. Sawyer's making his way down. This is maybe a good spot to look for a Herald usage. They have a big wave to work with.
Raisins could have committed on that hook, gone in on it, flayed him back, and they probably would have killed Heathen, but he was cautious about Heathen having flash. That's good, respectful play. He just end up getting chunked out, but ultimately the bullet time from Jack Spectra is strong enough to keep them at bay. Now, you see 2 recalls coming in from Heathen and Wyzek. This is the opportunity you can use. The Herald, it's not the greatest timing because it's only going to get plates here. It's not going to get the tower. It's actually pretty close, in all honesty. They may just be able to take this.
They've got all the plates now apart from one.
Yeah, the last one's really tanky. They don't get it, but I was expecting them only to get 3, but they end up getting the 4th plate there. Dragain.
He's coming down. Only Angel coming down for the...
He just sidesteps everything. Did get knocked up by 1 to interrupt the satchel, but ultimately does survive. But this is a good roam coming out from Only Angel. You have priority top. Your team wants to go for this dragon, so you move down and catch the mid wave. Now, this does sacrifice farm in the top lane, but ultimately the plan of this was because you didn't have TP, you have to sacrifice this farm if you want to get a dragon. They pick that one up pretty quickly because Phelan were resetting, and then Only Angel moves back up to top. So it's a nice map play coming out from the side of Enclave, and overall, they're coming out favorably.
Phelan aren't that bothered about contesting the second dragon, though. They are happy to just chill. It's only when he gets the 3rd and 4th dragon you start to raise questions about whether you want to go for it. I mean, if you've already lost the first one and you don't feel confident enough to fight, especially because the big ultimates that you had, like bullet time, are down, you'd probably just say, that's fine, take the dragon. We'll just take what we can.
You don't have the setup, you don't have the vision, you don't want to commit too hard. 3rd dragon is the one where you start asking questions, to put them on soul point, and then if you do try and contest the 4th, and they win the smite battle, they still get the soul. 4th is the one you definitely want to look into contesting, but sometimes you may opt out of it for a better fight if you're really far behind. But now, though, Mega Inferno Bomb.
Mega Inferno Bomb will clear out as much as it can. They'll get another plate off the back of this, but...
Power of Ziggs, it's a great pick in this regard because it scales extremely well, has great wave clear, not just in its lane, but across the map as well, and that makes it extremely difficult for you to really pressure against a team with a Ziggs, because often you see picks like Vlad, which was something Air, Enclave's former mid laner, would play, and you're just not that useful in the early game. You don't clear waves well. If you fall behind, you feel useless, but Ziggs is always relevant if only just for his wave clear, and often later on his damage becomes honestly insane. And right now, teams just trading off on these towers on the bot side. Bear Tree potentially going to defend this one though. It is low.
It's very low. Bear Tree trying to go aggressive onto Durking here, but it's just the Heathen doing what he can. It's a very tanky though, this turret. You have to be so careful. His plates are still up, and Bear Tree goes for the big engage. That's a huge amount of damage as Vicek makes his way down and misses the cocoon. Heathen goes for the hook, but the flash is there. But he will be dead now as Eternity has made his way through. Bear Tree essentially doing what he can, trading as much time as possible. He gets the kill onto the Heathen, and they don't get the top lane turret in response. So it is going to be the first turret of the game going over to Enclave. I think he was trying to buy time to allow Jack Spectra and also Raisins to get that top lane turret, but it didn't work out.
Yeah, I think critically the difference was the mid laner moving down, the jungler being there. That was what made things different. Only Angel able to buy enough time. The tower does go down in the top lane, and critically Ziggs is getting some alone time mid. Ziggs extremely good at taking towers.
He absolutely is. And remember, even like that bot lane tower, Ziggs can walk down there and just throw a satchel charge, and that's dead.
Yep.
So they always know that that standing gold is available for them if Ziggs wants to commit the time to the bottom side of the map.
Yeah, so Enclave better setup with having 4 members move down to get that. They lose some HP on the mid tower, but ultimately it's a 1-for-1, which is a little bit unfavorable. Bear Tree just doing a lot of work in that regard. I feel like maybe he could have killed Dirk in there if he ulted the Nautilus CC initially because it makes him unstoppable, but either way, the end result is he still went 1-for-1, so pretty nice play from him. to kind of remedy them being slow on getting the tower. But the team's trading right now. 1,000 gold lead for Enclave, and they do have those 2 dragons in the pocket, but I think this is fine for Phelan. Sawyer is going to scale up pretty strong, but Isaac right now, he is still very relevant on this Elise, and he's 3-0. He has the Runic Echoes plus some extra bonuses, so got to respect that damage from the Elise right now, and they are looking up towards the top side to contest that second Herald that's spawning soon.
Teleport is there for Bear Tree, as is for Only Angels. No, Only Angels is just about to come off cooldown. He should have it available for this next fight. By the way, something I didn't mention, Eternity went for Cleanse this game over anything like the Teleport, so won't have the map pressure, but we'll be able to avoid getting locked up by the Sejuani ultimate and the Thresh Hook, which is very important.
It's something that I remember lots... Oh, Engage comes in.
Oh, Raisins can't quite land that Flash Hook, unfortunately, and that will mean that it'll be an easy exit for Enclave. It was a good attempt, though. They wanted to try and find a pick so they could get this Rift Herald easily. Set has actually just walked his way up there because he had a good lane.
So that's the critical difference. You find priority, you move up. We saw Only Angel do this, but a fight's coming in. TP.
TP coming through. They're going to have to try and find a good opportunity to engage here. They're actually just giving a bit of Rift Herald control over to Enclave, who don't want to go too far with this right now. They have got
looking for the Cassiopeia. I think they found her.
I think they've got a lot of damage there.
They're trying to.
I think that will just be a pickup by Enclave for the Rift Herald. The engage comes through. Heathen also very low. Immediately goes down to Dragain. And now Eternally flashes in past Bear Tree, but he gets ulted right into the middle of the team, straight on top of Ziggs' ultimate, giving him a triple kill for Dragain. Only Angel now getting chased down. He'll get stunned up. Bear Tree doing what he can. And Wisek chasing Dragain down will land the cocoon, but will not be able to follow up on it. But he will with the flash, and it is a 3-for-3 overall. But Enclave pick up the Rift Herald.
Eternity, he's new on the roster, trying to make the hero play, but it's Dragain who comes through. The huge ult from Bear Tree, followed up by the Mega Inferno Bomb and the bullet time. Triple kill almost instantly for the Ziggs. But then the shutdown does go over to Wisek shortly after. The skirmishing power off Only Angel, and Wisek still strong on these 2 champions. And the Herald is in the pocket of Enclave. So Enclave slightly win out, but I would never feel good about giving that much gold over to a Ziggs.
No, nor would I. He's now picked up a Haunting Guise on top of his Ludens, so he'll be doing a significant amount of damage. What this has allowed, though, is a good reset for the Dragon. Yeah,
so that's the big thing, is that Dragain died latest in that one. His TP is just coming up now in a few seconds, so unable to contest that 3rd Dragon. It's not the soul, but definitely doesn't feel good to be at that point, especially since I feel like a lot of champions on Enclave make a good use from the Cloud Soul active, particularly Only Angel on the Aatrox, already getting movement speed from his ult.
What I will say is, as they get the mid lane tier 1, which is a good pickup. What I will say, though, is that now you're on a timer. Every 5 minutes, you're going to have to think about contesting it, because if you give away the Dragon Soul, you're giving away a huge amount. I mean, even Cassiopeia loves to use that extra movement speed with the ultimate as well. So I just feel like this is good pressure from Enclave from very early on in the game, because now from, what, like 22 minutes onwards, you're constantly going to have to be on edge about looking for a fight.
It doesn't give the window for Phelan to sort of scale up longer, to make use of their powerful tank jungler in comparison to Enclave, who has this Elise who will inevitably fall off. So definitely put a timer on the game, making things difficult in terms of contention. Right now, Phelan leading towards the bot side, trying to get this tower. And Enclave looking to pressure mid. Now, Ziggs has a ton of wave clear, but you have to be cautious about a dive. He does have the ult available to throw down, but Herald's going to come, and that'll be mid-tower gone.
Yeah, he uses the ultimate to clear as many of the minions as physically possible. They won't even need to use the Herald for that first mid lane tier 1. It'll go on and get a big dive onto the tier 2 here. Don't think it'll get much more than that, as Phelan do respond.
Yeah, the power Ziggs again. You've got to be so scared of that poke. The damage is insane. But right now, they're leaning towards top lane. The wave's there.
Bear Tree knows he's dead.
He's caught out once more. He's going to try turn around, but I'm not optimistic.
I don't even think he's going to bother. I actually don't even think you need to use the ultimate there, Eternity, but he does it to secure the kill.
I mean, he just wasn't able to do anything. He got CC'd, locked up. They didn't give him a chance, is the big thing. They were cautious about the turnaround power of Set if he can get that Haymaker off the shield and the CC as available, so they just insta-kill him. Coordinate the CC, and now Enclave, 2,000 gold up. So good use of the Herald to break down the mid tower. Difficult to do against the Ziggs, I will say, absolutely. Especially past his Ludens, his wave clear becomes a bit absurd. But now no objectives currently on the map. It's 3 minutes till that Cloud Dragon, 30 seconds till the Baron. And obviously Enclave have an amazing composition for doing a Baron.
They do.
On the back of a Cassiopeia and a Phelios only has Crescendum, probably one of two of the fastest Baron champions.
And you've got Leandry's on your release.
Yeah, why is it? Because actually, Elise is pretty good. She has a lot of sustained damage dealing with the Baron with the spider form damage.
I need to be careful. I mean, obviously they can see Cassiopeia right now, so probably not too worried about the Baron going.
I don't think they're going to rush it right now, especially since you have a lot of tools to check with. You've already got Scrying Orb, Undragain, and Jack Spectra. And the Mega Infinite Bomb gives vision and also does a ton of damage.
If I could think of one champion that I really just don't want to do a random blind Baron against, it's probably Ziggs.
Yeah, I mean, it's as well as that. When you're fighting Baron, he shreds your magic resist.
Yeah.
So it just gives extra magic penetration to a Ziggs who already has the Sorcerer's Shoes. And
the Haunting
Not
guys.
advised. Well, Haunting Guys doesn't give any penetration, but, you know.
Oh, they've changed that, haven't they?
Yep.
Boomer, Scoundrel didn't even...
It's the Oblivion Orb that gives it.
Yeah.
And I feel like if you'd gone the Oblivion Orb, that's the one shot with ult build, but this is the more sustained damage in a fight. And Leandry's is a very good item with Ziggs over longer term damage. This is him playing for the full item rather than the spike right now. Oblivion Orb is a big spike when you buy it. But building it into Morale-Nomicon, not always the best unless you're specifically trying to cut down healing. Of which Enclave does have a decent amount, but not the most significant.
Ping's coming out for Baron. You can see Enclave posturing for it as Beartree has shown himself. And remember, they have got such a quick Baron composition that you always need to be a little careful about leaving them to their own devices in that Baron pit.
But the critical thing is, King doesn't have the Crescendum right now. Fortunately, he doesn't show his next weapon, but it's Calibrum, so still a while away. When he switched to Crescendum, that's when things get really scary.
See though, it's all about threatening.
And they can do this because they have Only Angel here playing on their strong side. So they have 5 members pushing in the jungle. And right now, Beartree's just pushing up the side lane. He has TP, but he's pushed the wave in. He's now going to recall and join them. And they are waiting. They're actually going to start the Baron up here.
Yeah, without Crescendo, but they do still have the Cassiopeia. And you can see Phelan are going to continue to shove in right now. They knew they had a limited time to make this work. Beartree's going to just immediately teleport in, and it will stop the Baron. That's all they were after, though. They just wanted to teleport.
I don't think you need a TP then, in all honesty. They were already backing away. I feel like that was really ambitious.
I think it's just more reactionary.
I just think it was Phelan being pretty scared. You didn't need a TP there, just factually. But everyone just reset. They can go for this.
I think they had. I think someone backed outside of the brush, so that ward behind the Baron pit hadn't had.
You can't just recall 5 people at once. What are you doing?
Are they going to lose this Baron off the back of this? Is it going to go down quickly enough? That's the question.
Yeah, it's actually gone. Elise is running over.
That was a misplay right there. Phelan.
They'll get Cloud Soul, but it's not. I don't know.
They do get Cloud Soul.
You can't just all recall at the same time. That's League of Legends 101. Jungler stays, okay? Jungler stays. He didn't even buy any items.
Well, they get Cloud Soul, which is, like you said, a pretty big boon for some of the members of the Enclave roster, especially for someone like Only Angel.
True. I'd rather have Baron, though.
Yeah, I suppose.
And this is Enclave having a game they were in control of and just losing their grip. Just a relapse, just missing a key point that has cost them heavily. And
I mean, it was basics, right? They made a basic mistake.
Well, that's the thing that frustrates me the most about Enclave. Is they can make these really good, solid plays, and then they just lose out to something really basic like this. That really just should never happen.
I feel like one of them was caught backing out the brush because there was a ward behind the Baron pit. So the only way that I think Phelan would have had complete confidence was that they saw someone backing, and they just assumed that everyone had gone back.
Potentially.
And they saw no one appear in top lane. They saw no one appear on the other side.
I mean, the thing is, I feel like Phelan felt like they could just back off if it turned out someone was there.
So, yeah.
But if someone had stayed and showed presence, maybe they would have just instantly backed away.
Rysek tries to go for the cocoon. Doesn't quite work out. Phelan trying to get that low enough to make the satchel charge. Take the kill, but it will not.
I think it is low enough now.
Very close. I think
he's not max W second.
Yeah,
big thing.
I think
some Ziggs max W second because you get the short cooldown on it.
Yeah.
Also, it means you blow up towers easier, and it's actually easy to hit the W. Like E still gives a lot of slow and decent damage, even if it's not maxed. But the W is like a good. You can throw it out, instantly activate it, and it's like the least skill shot he has.
Yeah, absolutely. Sawyer actually trying to catch out Visek, who immediately gets locked up, and he's just down to misfortune. The bullet time is there. Now Heathen will be second on the menu as Beartree throws him into the team. A great face breaker to buy a big shield as well. And again, the damage he's doing, it is absolutely insane. Only Angel over the wall, and look at this. Phelan gonna run it down mid.
Yeah, I think they can just end here, especially with the Ziggs, with the damage available to them. Enclave drop the ball and they get punished for it. Actually, I think with the death timers,
they might be able to get away with this. It's going to be close. It's 20 seconds, actually. You do have the Ziggs.
They have 5 on the Nautilus.
Yeah.
5 now on the Elise. They're going to try it with the pushing power, maybe.
I mean, this is close. I mean, they've already taken down 1. They're taking down 2. They could just try and focus this out. They're going to go for another fight. He then jumps in, and immediately a Visek execution is there, but they are just running down the Nexus. Phelan will continue those playoff dreams, and Enclave, even with the subs, can't find a win. It was one mistake, and it was a one mistake from Visek specifically.
It was a big mistake. I mean, I'm not going to individually blame Visek for that, because as much as I say the jungle should stay, that was just a poor call. There's no reason to all recall at the same time.
I didn't mean that. I meant that mistake, obviously, for Baron, but also the mistake that Visek just walked through the jungle with no vision control of Sawyer.
Yeah, true. But I feel like at that point, when you're behind with the Baron, when this team has Ziggs misfortune, it feels really rough, because Elise was your strongest member, and Elise at that point kind of feels useless compared to everything else. You had to keep the momentum going if you have an Elise, because Ziggs, after you got that Baron, after you spent all that gold.
The power of the Ziggs, by the way.
That champion's so busted, is all I'm saying.
Wait, I do want to show you what I was talking about just a second ago. So I just want to show you, I've never seen one of these before. Dan. Guys, look, have you ever seen one of these before?
I mean, it's just like...
Look how far it goes. And look, you can like measure right angles and everything. Anyway, that's what I was playing with. It's just really like, it's really addictive. Anyway, that game, yeah. So talk to me about, was it that simple Baron that basically cost them the game?
Yes. I feel like for Enclave, this is we saw it again when they played against XL, and they got that amazing Baron steal where Only Angel TP'd in, pointed at Taxa. I think it was against XL, and basically ulted him so he couldn't, on Mordekaiser, so he couldn't smite, and then they stole it. And then 2 seconds later, 3 of them get picked back to back.
But great.
It's like they can make these good plays to get them ahead, and then they just sort of forget how to play League of Legends and just interweigh their advantages, it really feels like. And that's why I'm so frustrated, because this team were doing good. You were looking solid. Yes, there were some mistakes, like you gave that triple kill to Gain, obviously not optimal, but you know, you could have had this one. You burned the TP from Bear Tree. I was feeling confident for you. You were about to get Cloud Soul, and then you just all recall at the same time and lose the game. So credit to Phelan for capitalizing that, but Enclave, this was your win. This was your win, finally.
And you threw it out the window. I mean, I think I've got to give props to Phelan for taking that moment and saying, okay, Baron, now do it. And they did it, and they got it. Good confidence, good call. Let's not blaming Enclave entirely, because let's say how good Phelan were to make that move. And then obviously the catch on Visek at the end set up for that perfect fight, of which Dragain was just doing insane damage in as well.
Yeah, Dragain presses all his buttons. I mean, it's not really a skill shot when they're at a choke and you throw like 8 bombs a second.
Yeah.
They're all going all over.
Yeah.
That's why Zig's so good, man. You're that champion.
Well, that's Phelan picking up a win, keeping themselves alive for that 4th place, especially with the Envision loss as well. People are still pretty close for that 4th spot in the UKLC. Now, tomorrow we'll be back at 7 o'clock CET. We're going to have Barrage versus M&M, Enclave versus Envision. We're going to have Phelan versus Fnatic, and we're also going to have BTXL versus Demise. Any games that you're particularly interested in? I'm actually quite interested in that first matchup of the day, specifically because M&M have looked really good.
Yeah, they nearly beat XL.
Yeah.
So I think if there's anyone where there's going to be the upset, that one is it. The rest of them do look pretty one-sided, but
probably, yeah.
I said that today about the M&M against XL game. I was like, that's one-sided. There are always potential for upsets, or at least teams testing each other. So we'll see how things pan out, but ultimately I think that first one could be a close one.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we've had some good games today. Definitely seeing top 3 teams in the UKLC stretching their lead with that 4th spot up for grabs. With only 2 weeks after this ready to go for playoffs, we'll see which teams can make it to our top 4. We'll see you tomorrow.